Is, I would say, foundational for me as now being a pastor. When I met my wife, I was already in ministry. So my worldview, my theology of God helped shape the kind of woman I was looking for, the kind of family I wanted to build, and of course the qualities of what I was looking for as well. Someone compatible, someone who believed in God, who saw family the way the Bible speaks of it. And so faith was instrumentally important, and I would say it was perhaps the most dominant influence in my decision in the kind of wife I would choose.
It goes back to our love story because we actually only dated about 3 months, then we got engaged. And then our wedding was 3 months later. So we were told, I know I was left and right, I was making the wrong decision, we were moving too quick, I'm not listening to God. And so it just didn't make sense for us to move that quick. But because I had faith and trust in God, I had a confirmation from Him to know that this is definitely the man He had formed and fashioned for me. Against any negative talk or negative vibes, as we say, I had to truly and totally and completely rely on God and my faith in Him to believe that this was, in fact, the man He had for me. And so we moved forward with the wedding, and that was almost 23 years ago. And we are so happy and full of life, and we've grown so much, and we've evolved so much, and we've built so much together. So I'm so glad and so grateful that I chose to trust God and delight in Him on that decision.
3 months after we were married, I had this dream of a church called United Christian Faith Ministry. So we started a ministry in our home, and it initially started with reaching out on the backside of LSU, where we were just kind of ministering. I was doing street ministry, Oklahoma street apartments, kind of walking that South Baton Rouge area. And my wife, being a registered nurse, picked up the mantle wherever I needed her to fill in at, from ministering to young girls to singing and encouraging people to join and sing gospel music. And so from the beginning of our marriage, we have served in ministry together, from one ministry of just sharing the word of God and evangelizing to now over 40 ministries, from economic empowerment, young women of excellence, social justice ministry. My wife is even the events planner for all the events at our church now. So I would say our marriage, it was just God ordained, and it was always to serve other people as well.
My husband is constantly taking on grandeur assignments, and God is constantly birthing vision through him. So just when I'm thinking, okay, we've accomplished these goals, we've met these objectives, this vision has become victory, we can kind of rest. No, he has more. More is coming, more is coming, more assignments are coming. So I learned early on to just rest in God and to realize that this handsome as he is, individual, anointed individual, he is not just for me. And I'm not to be selfish. His gifts, his talents, his wisdom is for, I'll say, the nations. I always say he's going global. So I can't be stingy with that. So by me resting in God, I have a peace whenever he takes on new assignments or God gives him new responsibilities to say, hey, whatever you need me to do, I'm here to do it. I'm holding down the home. I'm holding down the family. I'm going to make sure that it's peaceful at home for you. So once you come home, you can relax and you're confident that all is well on that end. I'm praying for you, and I'm getting teams together. Whatever he asks me to do, I'm there to do it. Getting teams together to help work your visions, and that's pretty much it. So I'm just here to serve.
And that's the easy part for her. But as a coach, my job is to push my wife in the growth as I see God has shaped her as well. Mm-hmm. When I first met my wife, she was somewhat timid, and I pushed her pretty much into every assignment, from being a Sunday school teacher to events planning. She's had a little business and selling clothes at times, wrote a book. So it's, I pray for my spouse in that whatever God has called her to, I don't want to get in the way of that.
Absolutely.
I can't build other successful congregants as a pastor my wife and my children have failed in their purpose. Their purpose is not just to serve me as a wife. I believe you have many purposes to serve in the earth realm. As a daughter to her mother and father, as a mother to her children. She has gifts and talents, creativity, beauty. That is to be of God's service as well. So I've learned that early on to get out of God's way. Men will use you where they need you, but God will only use you how he designed you. And so it's my job to look and to participate with what God is at work doing. And so prayer is always of the utmost importance. As we pray for each other, we discern and discover what God is at work doing, and we participate, and we all enjoy the experience.
Well, one message I would like to give out is to marriage is a beautiful thing, and it also takes a lot of hard work. Make sure in your marriage that you are cultivating your love for one another. Make sure you remain friends. I often say marriage is just because you're married, that's not a time now to become the police in the marriage. Yeah, where you been? Who you calling? Who you talking to? No, none of that. You were friends before marriage, so make sure to cultivate that friendship even after marriage. Also, keep the communication open. Forgive quickly. God commanded us to be kind, compassionate, and forgiving. And so you're definitely going to need to forgive quite often in your marriage. And trust that if you obey God by doing so, your marriage will be blessed. Your happiness will be even greater than when you met. And can't tell it all, but those are just a few little nuggets I would like to share.
And I would simply add, life is a gift. It's a gift. It came and it comes from a God who is love. He doesn't just love, he is love. Love is, it's an action word, and it's hard to give it away if you haven't received it. Relax and let the God of creation, Elohim, Yahweh, let God love on you first. Discover his purpose, his plan for your life, and then it is now a much easier assignment to share that love. Love has characteristics, and so love has to manifest over time. It's given through expression. Love is honesty, it's loyalty, it's commitment, it's caring for the other's well-being, wanting to be with each other. Love is friendship. And so all of these expressions of love have to be fleshed out. And so you do that in context of community. Find a loving community and give your love away. It's the best assignment given to mankind.
Pressures on a relationship get kind of tough. Pressure is perfection. And I believe the only perfect person that ever walked this earth was Jesus Christ. And so my faith in him has also given me my peace in what we do. Because at first you were chasing the rabbit to appease everyone. You realize you'll never accomplish that. Because what you do to help one ends up sometimes making someone else feel the opposite way about that particular situation. So what you have to do is do the right things at all times. Strive for perfection, achieve excellence. And that's in everything you do, whether it be in the workplace, in the home, and who you are somewhere is who you are everywhere. And so we took those same things from place A and put it in place B, and as we carry that entire relationship, we start seeing better results. Start working to strive to please each other. Start working to cut out time and prioritize our family, prioritize our relationship, prioritize our parenting, because early on it was a strain. Learning is like going to a new job. You want to commit yourself to show how committed you are, but sometimes it goes in overdrive. And so we learn how to still be committed to the community without losing the commitment to each other.
Yes, and I've become the balance enforcer. So Thursdays are date nights. We barely budge on that if we have to, but learning how to balance in everything, like he mentioned, parenting, our relationship, and everything we do is a huge benefit to us staying out of that place of pressure and just keeping the focus where it needs to be. Giving back to the community, serving those that are without homes and that are just underserved in general. We've had a great deal of doing that even prior to Daryl taking office. It's just something we've done from the beginning through sports and activities with our kids, through other different organizations. It's just something we're both very passionate about.
So I'll tell you that the history of how I even got in office, because we were a service family. And so we would load up the truck with tables, chairs, tents. We would host community events. We would ride kids around, pick them up, host community events that held anywhere from 150 to 2,000 people, right? And our passion grew. And once we were in a place where God could use us, He said, I have you right where I want you. You've been serving. Now it's time for me to elevate you into the capacity in which I've called you to serve. And that's how the council district happened. But even when we first got in office, the crew was me, my wife, and my legislative aide. So you may see me with the pen on TV, but she's always one step behind. You can be such a great leader in the community and lack leadership in your home. And that's where that imbalance starts to come in. And so what is taught is the ability to delegate, the ability to trust the team, the ability sometimes even trust my wife. I get OCD at some moments where I want it my way, no way, and that's in every space. And I've had to loosen those reins in the government space, in the business space, and in the home space. So
Again, that's where that balance comes in. He mentioned the imbalance, but it is very important to me, and I'm very dedicated to that, to keep our family being in a state of homeostasis where we just kind of, we have this here, this here, this here, but everything is flowing smoothly because it's balanced there. It's finding that one and having that one who has your back in the good, the bad, and the ugly, saying, I'm here no matter what, whatever the challenge is, we're going to work through it together. Whatever the good is, we're going to celebrate together. And when it is, you surround yourself with people that believe in your relationship, that may need to help you in that process to get it back on track. And truly, God being the center of our marriage has really kept us going. And us taking the time to make sure we make each other a priority, even in this busy space. Finding time to be a part of each other's lives, not he has this separate life over here and I'm doing me over here. Our lives have truly intertwined, not just through marriage, but in the workspace and being parents as well, and in the community.
And we talk about partnership for me. Like I said, who you are somewhere is who you are everywhere, right? So I'm big at breaking down what people are good at, what are their strengths, weaknesses, what opportunities, their SWOT analysis. I do that with everybody. And so I even do it in my own house with my wife. So I understand in whatever business we're in, whether it be the business of our family, the business of the community, or the business that pays the bills, right? What space and place does she add the most value? And then how do I fill those gaps where I see holes in what we do? And then vice versa. Where are the places where I'm strong in one area and then she'll come? Because I will tell you, I'm extremely direct. And she's almost like my James Brown interpreter. Because I come off sometimes harsh, but my heart is in the right place. And she's like, well, what my husband was trying to say and where his heart really is. So she smooths it out. So she is definitely my soft place when sometimes I come off as a fight, even though I'm just trying to do the best by whatever situation I'm in. So that partnership and balance is not just in that, but also in communication. It's even tougher than raising kids. I can get it wrong with kids. I can fix it, right? It's trial and error. But in your marriage, I got married at 21. So literally was still in school, felt like God told me to get married, told me she was the one. I said, well, if you give me a vision, then you will give me provision at the same time. And getting married so young, we evolved over periods of time where we weren't the person that we were when we initially got married. And so part of that partnership, part of that wanting to be in that space is you have to evolve with the person as they evolve. And sometimes you grow apart in certain areas. And in marriage, you're not always in love, but you always love each other. When people look for the butterflies, that's not going to be every day. I've been married 18 years. It's not going to be an everyday thing. It's the ups to downs. And I think the political aspect, just the timing of it, the loss of her mother, it's probably been some of the toughest 5 years that any marriage would ever be challenged with, but definitely ours, from 18 to now. But again, not quitting, some days wanting to give up, but always finding a reason to keep going. sometimes remember that when I point the finger at you, I got 4 pointing back at me. So what could I do to improve that space in that place? But while it's been the most challenging, it has definitely been the most rewarding piece, and finding a way to continue to put a smile on her face.
That's good. One of my scriptures that I use concerning marriage, a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one. And I always say it's in the becoming where you learn a person. It's the merging of the two. And I've been forever a student of Darryl Hurst in that becoming space as he's evolved from 21 to 40, and I just won't stop being a student to learn him. I don't ever want to get in a space where I'm like, I know my husband, that's it. He'll, or just get stuck in a space where, yeah, he's been that way. No, he's ever evolving just as I am. And when you talk about challenges, we face those, and we face them together head on. Like he said, wanting to leave at times, but realizing we're in this to the end, and so we fight to the finish. And I'm glad we're able to stick through those challenges, especially within the last 5 years. Like he said, we worked it out together, and sometimes seeking outside help if necessary, getting the therapist, getting somebody that can pray with you and kind of hold you both to the fire as you're going through the fire to see you get to the other side.
So I will say that love is the key to any and everything. It's the passion, the fire that you have within you that burns for something, right? So when you talk about love what you do. Find something you're passionate about and drive towards it. And then most of all, as it relates to marriage, find someone you're passionate about and have that burning sensation for, and commit to that person, love that person, understand that it won't be perfect, and that if marriage was easy, there would be no such thing as divorce. And so I always tell myself that if I can try one more thing before I quit, then if I haven't done that one more thing, then I haven't done enough. And so every time I have a bad moment in my relationship, in which we all have, where we're just like, man, is this the right person? Is this God, what's going on with me right now? I always say, what could I be doing that could either be pleasing unto God and pleasing unto my wife and ultimately make my relationship better? And if I haven't done that, then I haven't done enough. And even when I do that, I find something else. So always finding something to push forward instead of finding something that will allow me to walk away from it.
Awesome. I would say that love is bigger than a feeling, because feelings fade, they change. Love is an act. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So he took action. So in those moments where you feel like your feelings may fade, take the next step and do an action. Make your husband or your wife smile. Find something that speaks to their love language, and things will begin to change.
True partnership in the context of marriage means working together for common goals, for family. What would you say about that?
I think of true partnership where each individual maintains a sense of autonomy of their purpose in life, and then pulling those skill sets, those tools, those passions together to achieve a common goal in a marriage.
I would agree. You maintain your individuality, but then there's a merger.
There's a merger there.
We have a lot of laughter in our house. People might not know that about me, but he could tell you I have a great sense of humor.
Yes, but I tell you though, when I first saw her, the first time I saw her, I was like, oh Lord, she's not my kind. She had that state representative attitude. But a year later,
and I said he wasn't my kind too. So let's get the balance there too.
But I think also in a relationship though, it is that understanding that the woman that I marry when she's 25 is not going to be the same woman when she's 35, and she's not going to be the same woman when she's 45. And so there is an evolution that's taking place. There's a growth there. And so partners have to understand that there is that growth. No, you're not the same guy I married 25 years ago, but there is still something, there's that core relationship, that core understanding that still remains the same, and that's really what's significant.
I think that sometimes in relationships, people have these illusions of grandeur about love, and there are different types of love. Of course, agape love, there's phileo love, there's eros love. But at the core of a marriage, while all of those different types of love, I believe, are involved, there has to be unconditional love.
Yes.
There has to be unconditional love and a commitment. When we got married, we made a commitment. We decided through thick and thin we were going to be with each other. And there have been some trials, tests, and tribulations for us in our marriage. But there's that core of unconditional love, I believe, that is definitely the glue that keeps us together. And you heard me say earlier, too, about respect. And there's family. We have a family. And our family, of course, our children and our grandchildren are very important to us. So we try to look at life unselfishly. We're not perfect, but when we think about our lives, we think about one another, we think about our family as well.
And I like the perspective from the biblical perspective of the man's responsibility in the relationship, and the man's responsibility is to love his wife under all circumstances and no matter what. So I'm not looking to my wife to fulfill something in her. It is my responsibility to make sure that she's a complete individual, and my responsibility to do everything I can to contribute to that. And so that's one of the things. And I think Sharon already mentioned the idea of respect. Respect for each other, respect for their individuality, and respect for the relationship. And so there are some things, I believe, that sometimes couples can get so excited, passionate about their feelings that they go beyond and say things and do things that cannot be undone.
Yes.
And so there where you just really have to control yourselves.
Yeah. And when you said that, it reminded me of something else. I talked about unconditional love. You have to have a lot of forgiveness.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That has to be.
Oh, yeah.
That has to be a major part of a marriage. You have to forgive. That has been part of our marriage.
That's been a part of it. That's one of the things I was like, oh man, she's asking me to forgive her? So I picked up that as well, and it's sort of humbling when you say, man, I think I was wrong, forgive me. Let's not go to bed tonight mad at each other. Forgive me, I made a mistake. I might not have looked at it in the wrong way. There may have been something that I brought from the office home with me or something, and it's easy to do.
My journey as a public figure really hasn't influenced my marriage, other than a reminder that while I'm a public servant, so grateful to be the mayor, president of the city and parish, that I have to keep my priorities together. And so my husband and my family can't be second tier. They have to be first tier. I'm cognizant of that. I'm really blessed that my husband is extremely understanding, because, there are times when I have late nights, I have to go here, go to this event, go to that event, and I try very hard to keep the lines of communication open, although he doesn't always look at my text messages. I try to call and...
that was not the question.
I call and try to, let him know what's going on in my life, so he just doesn't, think I'm just let him sit at home waiting and expecting, me to come home.
Yes.
I see the title as mayor or the title as state rep, or those are temporary. And in the end, after 8 years or 12 years, the titles will be gone. She'll still be Mrs. Broom. I'll still be Mr. Broom. And so that's why then we work hard not to let the titles get to our head. We just still try to remain who we are as individuals, whether we have the titles or not. And so that sort of help us to stay grounded. And that's why I think a lot of folks says, oh, she's so down to earth. Well, she's just simply down to earth, and the title of mayor does not interfere with that.
12 years.
12 years. I've had my own career and my own profession, and so, but it's understanding politics at working in the higher education, office politics. I didn't quite get that, as I started my career here in Louisiana. And so learning how to interact with the different dynamics of the classroom and working with my colleagues, that's watching her and watching how she navigate through that, in contentious situations. I can apply learn to apply some of those techniques in my profession. And then she supports me then as much as she could, because she had her own thing to do. And so,
I will tell you that Marvin has been extremely supportive and encouraging, and been one of my biggest cheerleaders as I have been a public servant, because most of our marriage I've been a public servant. And he has been, without sounding like a colloquialism, he has certainly been the wind beneath my wings.
And you know what, I'm glad you said that, because I was married before for a long time, and my first wife passed away, and then to have an opportunity to be married to another wonderful woman, and to share with her or show her the love, because as a husband, because I thought for a long time I would never be able to find that again. And then to have this opportunity, I've tried to pour out as much as I can to share and to show her how much I care for her.
I think the grind of growing a business is just that. It's a grind. It's a lot in general. And on top of that, having to figure out family and children, and then also the fire department, it's a day-by-day thing. I think we're just intentional about praying every morning and taking it one step at a time. Because if we plan for the future and we take it one step at a time, then it keeps us aligned with each other. So by Ross being a firefighter, he's actually been a firefighter for 15 years now. And the discipline that comes with that, he's been very disciplined. I think that the structure of what he's built by being a firefighter has truly helped us to build fourth floor. It has helped us to manage some level of structure in our household. And so with him being a firefighter sometimes can be a lot, but it's not impossible, because there is a good balance with him being a firefighter. He doesn't have to be there every single day. And so a lot of what he learns at work, he gets to take and incorporate that into our business, into our home. And
So
I only work 10 days a month, so roughly 10 days. So I have all of these other days to kind of to pour into my family, and then also pour into the business as well.
10 days does not sound like a lot, but
yeah, they are.
they're 24-hour shifts, so
Yeah, so I'll scratch that. I
it's a lot.
Yeah. Now you don't have to scratch that. So my history, as I've been a fireman since 2009, I also had a passion for music production as well. And so I produced music. I was an audio engineer, and then we had our second son. His name is Rossi. He was born blind. He was born visually impaired. And throughout the process of all of this new journey that we were going through, we wanted to document for our friends and family his journey of, the hospital visits and all these different things like that. Therapies, and it literally turned into other people wanting to document or storytell in the way that we were for ourselves.
Well, from there we started a business. Ross would show day in the life as a firefighter and a producer. He would show Rossi's progress with therapies and him going to the hospitals. And like he said, people just started reaching out for that same product. And from there, this company really just kind of grew organically.
And then we just got intentional about the growth. And, and we're here now with you, Joe. We were just talking about this at lunch earlier. But her brothers were my best friends. Her twin brothers were my best friends in middle school. So I've been knowing her since she was 8 years old. And we always thought we always had a very brother, sister, cousin kind of vibe with each other until we didn't.
I was just about to say,
so,
until we did it.
We went through high school as friends, even college as friends, and it wasn't until we hung out one time as adults that we were, confident that it could probably be something a little bit more than just a friendship.
Healthy communication and also giving each other the freedom to grow, always being curious about who each other are. Because we've known each other our whole lives, and I think because of that, we can just become so familiar that we think we know everything about each other. But over the years, we have been very good at wanting to get to know these new versions of each other.
Yeah.
Because he's totally different than... No, I'm kidding. So many things. Like daily things. Being a parent can test your relationship. Being business partners can test your relationship. Past, like I said, also being too familiar with your partner can test your relationship, thinking that you know everything about that person. So many things. But we overcome it by, I always share this with our friends. We have this thing called the relationship journals. And I don't know if it's like this for him, but I know for me, if I see us if we're getting to a place where it seems like we're just kind of existing, I'll be like, hey, you want to do the relationship journal? And it gives us an opportunity to talk about things that would otherwise be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or that would be difficult conversations, but we're not having them while we're upset. We're literally just talking about things that we wouldn't otherwise talk about unless we were angry. And so that has really helped us learn each other more. It has really provided a safe space for us to just kind of be each other's friend.